We are back. Same podcast, different location. And that's me, just a vagabond on the road, packing her bundle over her shoulder and just hitting the road, Jack. Now, is it a bundle or trundle? What's the thing? A bindle. Fuck, I was close. A bindle. I don't know if you could hear any of that click, click, clacking. But this week, I'm in a brand new location. And with that location, I have a brand new setup. And with that setup, I have a brand new way to have the information sucking just from the internet right into my brain. That is what I'm doing. So, if you can't see me, I'm sitting in front of a teal wall with some sort of brown lattice wood, whatever the fuck, place desk behind me. And I have had to cover up. There was a picture on the wall, and I am so not attached to sports or give a fuck about trying to figure them out that I couldn't tell if the images on the wall were the sports team of the boy, the man, the myth, the legend, the person whose room I am staying in, or if it's like pictures of famous athletes and also photos of him with said athletes. And I just wanted to protect his privacy, as he has done me the favor of letting me use his room. This is the place I will dwell until the end of my time here in London. The man whose room this is, he's traveling now for touring and stuff like that, because if you are not a comedy dork and you are not switched on, clued in, locked in to what the comedy scene, comedy world is doing, every August, comedians from all over the world go to Edinburgh and do an hour show there. And I'm going this year just for a couple of days. I'll do a few shows. So if for some fucking reason someone here listening to this is a Edinburgh fan, I will be doing shows from the 4th till the 11th of August. Just a bunch around town. So you can DM me, because I highly doubt anyone here is listening. I mean, when I look at the analytics and demographics of my audience, it ain't coming for Scotland. I was discussing this with a friend. Scottish accent, hottest. Maybe it's because I've watched too many episodes of Outlander too late at night when I'm none of your business. But the Scottish accent is by far the sexiest. Irish, no. And maybe that's because I'm allergic to potatoes, so my body just rejects both the potato starch and the accent. I did find it hot when I toured through there, when I traveled through there a couple of years ago when I broke my ass on the cliffs of Moher. But I also think once you break your ass in a certain country, you find it hard to kind of allow yourself to dream. And that encapsulates every kind of dreaming. Anyway, what I actually want to talk about today is very different to all that. And I don't want to hark on, whatever the right word is, about these things. Because at the end of the day, what I want to discuss today, and well, let's just get into it. Breathe in. Welcome to What the Fuchs with Jess Fuchs. Now breathe out. And scream. Because here's what's pissed Jess off this week. Is self-discovery the premise of this podcast that you signed up for and listen to loyally each week? No. Has that become the main thing that, unfortunately, as a 31-year-old woman, I am now finding myself having to unpack on a trip? Yes. Did I think I was coming here to perform, have the time of my life, have a journal that I have been saving up because it cost me a lot of money and it is hand-dyed, handmade in Italy? Yes. Have I been filling it with sorrows and sadness? Also, yes. Am I now just going to spend the rest of this podcast interviewing myself? None of your business. Maybe. This is free content. You get it for free, so you take it how you can get it. But what I have found, and I don't know how I started that sentence, but the point of the sentence was the expectation of this trip was very different to the reality. And hey, isn't that life? I always thought you keep your expectations low, then everything can be higher. I didn't really realize the expectations I had for this trip was, I guess, sky high. So is it disappointing that I am not achieving the expectation? For sure. But what this has sent me on is a wild goose chase of who I am and questioning things like, do I have a personality? Because there is nothing I enjoy doing. This week's kind of existential question that I was mulling over was, personality types. What is my personality? Have I changed since I was 22 and moved to New York City? Because when I was 22, I finished university. literally was so obsessed with moving, with pursuing comedy, with just being in another fucking place that was like a big bustling city. I didn't even go to my graduation. I finished my final exam or papers or whatever. I've blocked that time of my life out and jumped on a plane within like a couple weeks. It was crazy. And I had worked 3 jobs during university. I didn't make many friends during university because I was working. Every second I had, I worked a job. I worked as a receptionist. I was babysitting and nannying. And then I was working as an assistant to like a producer. And I was just truly working my fucking ass off whilst just trying to pass university because I hated it. But I was 22 and I was young and bushy-eyed, bright-tailed, bright, bushy tail. I had a tail that has since been, taken off with laser hair removal on the highest setting possible, and the machine does a death rattle. When I was 22 and I moved, what I was moving for was the start of something. You know, when you're 22 and you don't realize yet that life will beat you down, you're just kind of like, yeah, why wouldn't I achieve my dreams? It's like, you know what I mean? And now, at 31, 10 years later, 22 plus 10 minus 1, carry the 1, 110. And when I've come here with very different intentions and very different purpose. And so when I was 22, I was obviously scared and intimidated because it's hard to move countries, hard to do anything new, whatever it is, hard to, if you're changing jobs, like even if you are a really outgoing person, like that shit's always hard. And I will always, and I don't remember how, I know I have moments where I remember that things were tough. Finding routine was hard, even knowing what subway you're going on, seeing the first pile of human shit on the steps of a subway took my breath away and also made me gag because of the smell, and now I'm 31, I'm a little more hardened, I'm smarter, so it's hard to do things when you're smart. When you're dumb, God damn, can you dive in feet first, head first, belly flop all the way. But when you're 31 and you've seen some shit, some shit, and you can't pull the wool over your eyes because now you're allergic, and that's why you always get itchy when you wear something that's actually expensive and nice. It's much harder to dive in and belly flop in. So I have been thinking, have I changed? Has my personality changed since I was 22? Or is that kind of thing like, is personality just steady? And if so, do we need to have a sense of self-awareness in order to best position ourselves for success? AKA, does knowing who I am actually help me succeed whilst traveling? Or is being 22, young, dumb, stupid, naive, actually the perfect thing to help me succeed, and I should be more ignorant? Anyway, so what I did this week, I did my homework, and usually I would do things like, live with the team, but I just thought, oh God, couldn't put you guys through this. So I did a couple tests, personality tests, and I thought maybe if we learn a bit about me, then that will help me move forward, wade through the shit pollution of London with a little more confidence and self-awareness. And that perchance will make me a stronger candidate for happiness in this town. I did consider doing my astrology chart, and that I think is going to be its own thing because I am a middle child, so my parents don't remember that I was born. Not even just the time I was born. They don't remember that I was born. You know what I mean? So I can't really do my deep chart without date of birth, time, and location. So that I am sourcing. That will be a future episode where we will read my full chart, and I will tell you how I feel about astrology, because that is something I've been thinking about on the days where I ride the tube with my headphones in but nothing playing, which is a common thing. If you ever see me out on the street and you're like, oh, she's got headphones in, I don't want to disturb her, you're not disturbing me. I'm either listening to a podcast about history or I'm listening to your conversations. So come and interrupt me. Jump in, the water's warm. I don't know if anyone's done some of these personality tests, but some are really famous to the point where people will literally put their the one where it's ENJGF or whatever, the anagram for your personality type. That shit's all over dating apps. So people are doing that. The other one that's really famous is called the Myers-Briggs type. The Myers-Briggs indicator test. Focus for that is how you perceive the world and make decisions, which is integral to understand given my current situation. What I find interesting about this, I wrote down a couple points because I did want to discuss this. Now, all of the tests across the board that I did, first of all, they use such confusing language that I'm like, I don't know if it's like neutral, strongly agree. It's neutral, agree, strongly agree. Neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. But then, which I understand that, I can understand that level of whatever. But then the thing that blows me away is then they do questions where it's like, do you get upset at the idea of not getting upset at the idea of, why are we using quadruple negatives in a sentence? I can't figure this out. So I also don't know how accurate any of these answers are, because half of the time I was like reading it and then I go, are you overthinking this? But then I'm like, I don't even think I understand the question. And they ask the same kind of thing 5 times over in different phrasing. And I'm like, well, I'm probably giving different answers to different things. How are they accounting for someone being dyslexic and not understanding this language? Help me. And if I was home in Sydney, I would make my sister help me. But then I know that she would explain it and then we would get into an argument about how it does make sense, but I don't understand it, or I would interpret it differently. So then that's the other part of the equation. Is like, I don't think I'm interpreting these things correctly at all. But maybe that's what Myers and Briggs want you to think. Like, this is the sort of question that was in the Myers-Briggs thing. Okay. I go with the flow rather than speak up to not rock the boat. That is not fair, because that I would answer very different depending on the scenario. Do I have a blanket answer to that? No, because if I am picking a restaurant with a friend, I don't give a shit where you pick. You will be fine. And if I really want something, I'll be like, hey, I had Thai food yesterday. Can we have something different? But if you are wearing something ugly, and you ask my opinion, I'm not going to be like, no, I love it. Or just to not rock the boat. I'm going to rock that boat so hard that your clothes fall off you and you get dressed into a better outfit. So it really depends. And I think asking a generic question that catches all situations is not fair. So let's get into the responses to the results for that one. So overall, according to Myers-Briggs, these guys believe that I am the challenger. I sound like a WWE character. Now, I don't really know what some of these things are. So we'll read it and maybe we'll skim it, and I'm just going to stop at things that feel interesting. So it then says secondary is power and protection. I don't know what that is in relation to. Growth opportunity, vulnerability, and restraint. Hey, shut the fuck up. You don't know me like that. Every personality has unique attributes. Yeah, whatever. And people interact with the world differently. One important aspect of the challenger's character is through their innate drive for strength and independence. Okay, just say, okay. This expression involves more than just being assertive. It's about protecting what matters and finding fulfillment through personal power, authentic impact, and creating justice in your sphere of influence. It seems like you're saying a lot of positive things and then you're going to rip me down. And this is the problem. They keep giving these compliment sandwiches. Just make it an open-faced toasty. Just grill me. Personality type. So, primary style. I'm hoping this is going to make me feel, I don't know what it's okay. Primary style, the challenger. Assertiveness. You naturally express your opinions and preferences with remarkable directness. Your straightforward communication allows you to address issues immediately and establish clear boundaries, creating respect and authenticity in your interactions. Most of the time. I'd say, not all the time. Protective strength. Your remarkable ability to stand up for people and principles important to you helps create safety for others. You intuitively recognize threats and injustices, stepping forward when others might remain silent or hesitant. Okay, I guess sometimes. Your talent for making... I'm like, where's the section about London and how to survive and have a career in this city? Where's that? Where's that on this test? Because at this point, I don't really give a shit about my ability to stand up and fight. How about my ability to just survive? Decisiveness. Your talent for making clear choices without excessive deliberation makes you exceptionally effective in leadership roles. You identify the necessary action and move forward with confidence, providing direction when situations require resolutions. Sometimes, I don't know. They speak in such certain terms. I don't know. Independence. You understand the importance of personal autonomy and establish your own path. Your strong self-reliance allows you to take stand based on your convictions rather than seeking approval or avoiding controversy. Okay. I agree with that in terms of establish your own path, but okay, intensity. You possesses. Well, that's, That's a sign that this is all coming to shit. Am I crazy? Possesses, possesses. No, that's just possess. I want to say I'm so sorry. I just want to say to the scientific community and Mr. and Mrs. or they, them, Myers Briggs, I'm sorry for calling your whole life's work stupid when I myself was stupid and couldn't read. And again, this is my dyslexia, and it's not to say that I am not at fault. It is to say that I shouldn't have jumped the gun. So I want to apologize. And I am sure in your places to improve upon yourself, you will discuss what I just did, which is being rude. You possess remarkable energy for confronting challenges and overcoming resistance. Oh, God. This powerful life force propels you forward when facing obstacles, allowing you to accomplish what others might find too intimidating to attempt. Yeah, sure. Okay, we'll take that. When your core needs are not met, this is what we're talking about, because we're trying to find holes. We're trying to find gaps in the universe of Jess and just fix it. You know what I'm saying? And as I'm doing all of this, I realize I probably should just have a meeting with my therapist over the phone, over Zoom, as she offered. Why are you offering if not you think it's going to be necessary? Because me trying to find the rip in the universe and the space-time continuum that is my brain is really what we're doing. And yeah, when I saw Superman this week and there was a hole in the universe because the evil guy made a hole, I was like, is this me? And you go inside the hole and he's keeping all of his enemies in there in small glass boxes, and I thought, is that just me compartmentalizing how I think about things? Oh, God, Jess, get help. Okay, when your core needs are not met, you feel controlled. When your autonomy is restricted or others attempt to impose their will, you may experience intense resistance to perceived domination. Okay, sexy. This control triggers your core fear of being violated or having your independence compromised. Fair point. Okay, without sufficient variety and stimulation, you may develop a painful sense of stagnation. This boredom creates an uncomfortable emptiness that you may frantically attempt to fill with any available distraction. And that is why I paid £1 to get my results on this website, because that is true. Confrontational. When facing resistance or disrespect, you may escalate to excessive force or intimidation. This confrontational response emerges from your determination to maintain your position and influence, sometimes creating unintended consequences. What I'll say with that is, I think when I was younger, I was more like forceful in a sense. And then as I've gotten older, I don't know if I've like mellowed or just I saw that it's not productive or good to like be aggressive. I still am. There are certain like people or situations that will kind of like bring out the like in me. But overall, like now I just feel like it's easier to just kick back and be like, okay, let's have an actual conversation, or at least that's what I believe. I'm like, I know I'm wrong, but anyway, I'm sure I'm wrong. I'm sure there are 100 people here who could tell me I'm wrong. I also think because I've always been like strong, big, and like confident, there is this idea that I'm probably like aggressive. I have never punched someone, slapped someone, hit someone, nothing. I would love to open hand slap a bitch hard. I would love to punch someone's lights out, as they say, but I am not aggressive at all. In movies, when someone has just been in a fight and there's the scene over the shoulder, the camera's looking into the mirror and the person spits blood into the sink and then looks up at themselves with a bloody eye and a fucked up face and a mouth that's just bleeding and a tooth that's chipped, and they're looking at themselves, reevaluating their life while the blood circles down the drain. The closest I've ever been to that is the day when I floss, when I need to go to the dentist and I haven't flossed in a bit and I've spat out blood and being like, oh no, looking at myself in the mirror, wondering if I'm going to get a sticker or not, if I have good or bad behavior and good or bad oral hygiene. So I am just not a physically excessively aggressive person. Like I'd love to be. Maybe I need to find someone who will let me hit them. You know how there's people who like there's people, I've heard stories of people who find people who are vampires on like Reddit and then they go and let them drink their blood, or like someone who gets eaten by a cannibal. It's like, Maybe I need to find someone who's really into that sexually, just lets me hit them with an open palm. So if anyone's into that and currently in London, hit me up. I'm looking. Your preference for direct action can create frustration with processes requiring extended deliberation or diplomatic patience. This is interesting because to me, this feels like it relates to me. Obviously, other people too, but like, even if I myself am the other person in the equation when I'm talking to me, and I know I sound crazy, but it makes sense in my mind of like, when I myself am thinking and having conversations to myself of like, okay, what are we doing? And we as the collective, me and you, Jess. Yes, Jess, I know. Me and you, we're in it together. Hey girl, give me a kiss, you're so pretty. And Jess A is like, okay, we should do this. And then Jess B is like frustrated because Jess B wants to do something different right away. And then Jess A is like, well, it takes patience, young warrior. You know what I mean? That makes sense for me, myself. I'm sure it makes sense to other people right now. I'm sitting in a narcissistic zone because I'm by myself and I'm trying to figure out what my problems are. Excessive. Your natural intensity can sometimes exceed what circumstances require. Hey, ain't that the truth, girl? This excess may create unnecessary conflict or resistance when more measured responses would achieve better outcomes with less collateral impact. Yeah, you raise a good point, Myers and Briggs, but call me crazy, and maybe I'm jinxing myself now, touch wood. I have not had like problems recently. Do you know what I mean? As an adult, like sometimes I'll have a conversation, like I had a conversation a while back with someone about abortion rights, and they weren't, we had a conversation, and I was just like, no, because I was like, there's literally no acceptable answer in my mind other than my answer. And I know that's not really like, doesn't leave a lot of space for someone else's opinion, but there are some topics that I just go, I don't actually care for someone else's opinion on this. This to me is my opinion is right and no one else's, and there's no space for nuance. Yeah, that's small-minded. But that's my girl. That's Jess A. And hey, Jess B. Personality challenges. Now, this would help with the growth and the change within London. So it says each personality type has its own set of unique challenges. Understanding these challenges is important so you can learn how to address and overcome them. Okay, this is what we're talking about. Impact and awareness. Your natural strength can sometimes have unintended effects on others or situations. This impact may occasionally create unnecessary resistance or alienation when people experience your force or as excessive for the context or intimidating rather than clarifying. Okay, nice. Your comfort with power and autonomy may create discomfort with showing softer emotions or needs. This resistance can limit the depth of your connections and prevent you from receiving support that would actually enhance your effectiveness and well-being. Now, hey, if that ain't a true fucking sentence, baby. Okay, all or nothing tendencies. Oh, shut up. I'm already mad that this is going to be true. Your decisive nature can sometimes create binary thinking that overlooks nuances and middle parts. This polarization may occasionally lead to excessive reactions or positions more extreme than circumstances require, creating unnecessary conflict or limitations. Okay, but tell me how to fix it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I know that's not their job, but tell me how to fix it, baby. Strategies to address challenges. God, I need to learn to read ahead because I'm really throwing these guys under the bus. Meanwhile, they're doing the work. Okay. Developed impact sensitivity. Oh, okay. Build awareness of how your presence and communication affect different people. Practice reading subtle cues that indicate when your strength is being experienced as supportive versus overwhelming, allowing you to adjust your approach accordingly. Now, not to blow my own horn, toot my own horn, something with my horn, play with my horn, but my horn is wanting me to tell you that I do think learning how to read the space and better understand your impact has been something that I feel like in the last maybe year I've gotten better at. Not perfect, no one's perfect. Unfortunately, not even me, the challenger. But I think I am so used to being like the social lubricant in social situations and stuff that for a long time I felt like I would, when not necessary, like be the social lubricant, even when it's like you don't need to, don't worry. And even if it is awkward or people are uncomfortable or no one's making conversation and everyone else is weird, don't put yourself out. Don't make yourself stress about this. Who gives a shit? And I used to think I was like doing a good thing. And yes, I was in some ways. But then what I realized is it's like, well, you don't actually need to be doing this bullshit. And if you take your foot off the gas and you just let it be awkward and people don't make conversation, like who fucking cares? And part of that realization was realizing like I am uncomfortable in those situations because I don't like uncomfortable silences. But just if you become comfortable in it, then who gives a shit if someone else is uncomfortable? Why are you putting yourself out to make someone else comfortable, which ultimately makes you uncomfortable because you are exhausted by always having to lube everyone up and fluff everyone. You know what I mean? So I do think in the last 6 months to a year, I have become far better at just not feeling like I need to overextend. And by extension, learning kind of how this is talking about, like learning how your energy or your kind of presence can impact people, and being a little more attuned with like recognizing those things, because I do think I am quite good at reading people's vibe and like, oh, you seem like you're having a hard day, and how's your day? You okay? You seem a bit different. Practice vulnerable strength. Explore the power that comes through appropriate disclosure of feelings and needs. Begin with trusted individuals, and recognize this selective vulnerability often creates deeper influence and connection than consistent self-sufficiency. And that I am not good at. That is so hard. Especially, I feel like, I don't know if anyone else is like this, but I am someone who I feel like I have a good read on when someone's like struggling or need something or whatever. And so then I will just like naturally do it. And so when other people aren't capable of doing the same thing, and then I'm like, I don't really want to have to beg for help. Why can't you just tell? It's like, then I get annoyed that you can't tell because I can usually tell. And it's like, well, you can't be mad that other people don't have the strengths you have because you have a lot of weaknesses that they have as strengths. So becoming more tolerant and more understanding, and also use your big girl words, just put on your big girl pants and just say, hey, I need some help. Who fucking cares? You know what I mean? But that is so hard. That is such a hard one to get into. Develop appreciation for graduated responses and complex realities beyond black and white thinking. Oh God, roast me, bitch. Practice identifying multiple options between extremes and recognizing situations that benefit from measured rather than maximum force. Maximum force. Okay, cool. So do I feel like that is particularly helpful? Thank you for asking, Jess A. Jess B, I want to say that I don't think it's not helpful. I don't think it's anything that I've like never thought of or realized or been told before. However, I wonder if, I think the takeaway, if I'm really relating it to myself and my situation, my time here in the UK, is more about the black and white thinking of like how this trip should have been and what it should be and what it needs to provide, as opposed to being like, okay, la la la, we're going to be open to situations and opportunities and meeting people and doing this and doing that. So I feel like that's kind of more forcing myself to be a bit more hippy dippy, but I don't know. I guess that's something. Okay, then the next test I want to get into is called Big 5 Personality Traits. And this one, I don't know really, I wasn't as familiar with this one, but the purpose of it, it measures traits on a spectrum instead of types. So that's interesting. This one I also took issue with because it had questions like easily resists temptations, right? And then it gave you a scale very accurate, moderate, neutral, incredibly accurate, very accurate. So now you're going, easily resist temptation. Do I easily resist temptation? Let's say yes. So then I would write easily resist temptation, accurate. Because I easily resist temptation. See, I can't, the wording really fucks with me. What's really interesting about this is, as I logged in to do the test, I noticed, Shakara, I'd actually completed the test in 2017, and the computer had kept those results. So what I wanted to do was have a look at what I was who I was in 2017, because that was the year that I moved to America. And isn't this so fucking weird? This is where the computer's storing all of our data. I am not mad at you. I am actually thanking you so much, because you might have actually done me a huge favor. Because here we have the holy grail of answers. Do we change as people? Can we change as people as we learn and grow? And or does that make a difference? And or does it matter? And or does it matter? So what I'll say is, with the results of my 2017 test, I received the following. So it says the big 5, and I'll put this on the screen, but I'll also try to describe it. So the big 5, it gives you 5 personalities: neuroticism, extroversion, openness to experience, agreeableness, conscientiousness. And then it gives you like a percentage or something. Actually, I don't even think it's a percentage, because it's kind of like out of 120. So on neuroticism, I'm 61, extroversion 94, openness to experience 95, agreeableness 98, conscientiousness 88. they've got like the breakdown within it. So there's like neuroticism, and then it's like anxiety, anger, depression, self-consciousness, whatever. So those are my numbers from 2017. Now it's now 2025, which means it's been 8 years roughly. Now, neuroticism 65. So I've gone up in being neurotic. Now, I do want to point out there's a high chance I didn't understand some of the questions in 2017, given my dyslexia, and today and yesterday, given my dyslexia. So again, let's take these results with a huge grain of salt, but they are somewhat similar. So neuroticism has gone up a little. Extroversion, 93, 94 back then. So I've gone down 1 point. So that's probably margin of error. Openness to experience was 95 in 2017. It's 94. Is that margin of error? Probably, but that's a couple points down. Agreeableness went from 98 to 84. Now, that is the biggest jump, and that is one I do want to get into. And then conscientiousness went from 88 to 90. That's enough of a jump that it's something, but it's not so much. You know what I'm saying? What I find interesting about agreeableness, and here's my theory, and maybe I don't even understand agreeableness yet. I wonder if when I was 22, I was more agreeable because I had less self-worth and less self-confidence, and therefore was more agreeable to other people because it was easier to just be like, la, 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 you're right. La, 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 I'm not going to fight you on this, which is very, that's not bad necessarily. But I wonder if now, as I have grown and matured, if I now am kind of like, well, I'm not going to take your shit. I am not going to be agreeable. I am going to stand in the place that I know is right and stand firm and be happy and be open to all of this. And I wonder if there's a degree of that, if I have just found myself a little bit more and and maybe that is a positive spin. Maybe I've become more of a cranky old cunt, which is also very possible. And if that's the case, I want to say God bless you, doll. And I want to say best of luck, doll. And you are who you are, babe. And slay mama kind of thing. You know what I mean? Agreeableness reflects individual differences in concern with cooperating and social harmony. Agreeable individuals value getting along with others. Your high level of agreeableness indicates a strong interest in others' needs and well-being. You are pleasant, sympathetic, and cooperative. Okay. So my trust. A person with high trust assumes that most people are fair, honest, and have good intentions. Persons low in trust see others as selfish, devious, and potentially dangerous. I think my trust is very low, and I am not surprised by that. I am not very trusting. Morality. High scores on this scale see no need for pretense or manipulation when dealing with others, and therefore candid. Okay, so it's out of 20. So I got 11 out of 20 for trust. That's pretty low. I got altruism 16 out of 20. Let's just get into that. Altruistic people I read that as autistic people, and I thought, I didn't realize I took that test. Altruistic people find helping other people genuinely rewarding. Consequently, they are generally willing to assist those who are in need. Altruistic people find that doing things for others is a form of self-fulfillment rather than self-sacrifice. Well, see, and this is the nuance there. It's like, I do help people a lot, but I do have an issue with self-sacrificing. And so maybe that is also kind of attached to that. I don't know. See, I score pretty high on altruism and sympathy and morality, but then low on trust and moderate on cooperation and modesty. The thing with the modesty is a lot of the questions were I think they don't factor in that when you're creative, you kind of, and especially when your job is being creative professionally, it's you kind of can't have too much space for modesty because I have to have a high level of self-belief because I have to be delusional. No one in their right mind continues to work hard at something when they're not really successful at it right out the gate, because it takes so much fucking hard work to achieve any of this that I'm you kind of have to be sick in the head. The most successful people are crazy because when shit is failing and the boat is sinking, they're playing the violin going, we're good, no worries. And that is what being professional creatively is. And when I say professional, that is with a huge asterisk, which is I still live at home. I still have to save up every fucking penny to be able to do a trip like this, which yes is a little bit of fun and travel, but I'm working my fucking ass off whilst I'm here. Whereas I see my friends go and have hot girl Euro summer, get highlights in their hair beforehand, and I'm I don't have time for highlights or money. I have to cover my grays because I'm stressed. stressed because I still live at home because my life isn't going the way that I want, but I'm talented. Yeah. Never stop believing that you're talented, So modesty, I don't really have much time for I am modest in like pretty much everything except for my self-belief and my ability to be funny. And call me crazy, but that is just the way that is. Now, this one I don't really have as much, I don't know. I don't really care that much about this, and it didn't give me like an overarching thing. What the biggest thing that I found interesting was the drop in agreeableness. Oh, interesting. My trust back in 2017 was higher. My morality was higher. Sorry about that. My cooperation was higher. So my modesty was lower. Because I didn't believe in myself as much, I think. I just think modesty is important to a degree. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's all the way important. Now, I think that those two tests, I did do some others, but I just don't really care about them as much. And I feel like we got a lot out of this because I feel like we got some ways to improve in the first test and some positives, because we do want to always end on a positive. The positive is I actually think that I am happy to be less agreeable today than I was 8 years ago. I actually have no problem with that. I think being agreeable is really important to a degree, but I actually think being modest and all of that stuff is like important to a degree. You want to know and feel that you are good at something. That gives a bit of confidence. And being good at something can be like being good at making relationships, being good at cooking, being fun. I don't really give a shit what you are good at. That you go, I have confidence in this area of my life, because it makes you feel good. It makes you feel grounded. Like you can grab the grass around you. Now, do I think that people can change? Great question. No. Yes, I don't know. I believe that you can improve and you can work on your confidence and work on your self-belief and improve. And in that way, and now I'm just trying to wrap this up by finding a way to like relate this to my life in London and make myself be better and happier and all this shit. And I'm like, okay, if 8 years ago I was a different person that I am today, perhaps in another 8 years I will have a couple less points on a scale of, something important. Do you guys think people can change? Do you feel like you've changed? I think we can learn more about ourselves and get better as people, but I don't know if we can fully change. I don't know if that's possible, because I've also seen people over the last 6 months that I went to school with, and honey, they are copy-paste the same. Some of them are just a little more bold or have a couple more kids. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know if we can actually change. I think we are who we are to a degree. And I'm sure there's some resources online where we could read, but I don't really care. And I feel like we've done enough reading today. I'm so sorry about the lack of eye contact for those of you who've watched. I hope you didn't feel left out by me. Anyway, we continue to try to hustle and thrive in London. And now knowing a little bit more about ourselves, perhaps I will be able to approach things with a bit less black and white thinking, and a little bit more like, you know what? Good on you, girl. You are. Hey, you are breathing and you are alive, and you braided your hair because you need to wash it. So, do I think this was a funny episode? No. Do I think it was interesting? It's hard to tell, because I want to say I don't know what this episode was, but let's check in 8 more years and see and I'll do these tests again. But next time it'll be a robot in my brain who just calculates things for me, and then I'll be like, beep, boop, ChatGPT tells you. If you've ever done these personality tests, let me know what you got. If you also feel like you can change, let me know. Like, do you think change is possible? Do we care if change is possible? I don't even know. Because I'm not miserable with myself. I like who I am. But I just wish that maybe it's more about approaching London with a better attitude. Okay, that's what we're going to do. That's what we're taking away from today. Today and every day forward, I am Princess of Genovia. Maybe I'll rewatch that tonight. But I think what I am taking forward, everyone on 3, I want you to say what you're taking forward from this episode. 1, 2, 3. I am taking forward from this episode a better way of not being so black and white in my thinking and approach to things. And I'm taking forward a more harmonious relationship between Jess A and B. And I'm taking forward pride in a lack of modesty and a pride in my reduction of agreeableness over the last 8 years, because as someone who self-sacrifices, to not be as agreeable for me is a positive. And perchance you think it is negative, but I don't care, because I am currently doing black and white thinking. My black and white thinking changing will start as soon as this episode finishes. So 3, 2, 1, nuance. We let nuance wash over us, and we let nuance wash through our bodies and our loins, and it washes our hair, because our hair is oily. And I must go. Good day, good evening, and good night. All right. See ya. Bye.